Hello everyone. How are we doing tonight? Hopefully everyone is doing fabulously. I know that we tried this once before, so I want to try again because I think this is such an easy process to use digital stamps that I know we can do this. So tonight, what I want to do, and let me just show you here, is we're going to use the Queen from Down the Rabbit Hole. She's so cute, isn't she? Oh my goodness. We're going to use her. So I've already stamped her, but I didn't finish cutting like this little part out of her crown. I didn't realize till I got done that, oh, I remember I just, I just cut around it and thought, well, I'll cut out the rest of it later, and then forgot to do it. So we can just do it real quick while we're waiting for a few people to hop on. Hi, Beth. So, yeah, and then we're going to talk about the digital stamps that I'm going to be using tonight as our background. And if you guys have downloaded it, it is free in the shop right now. Most of the free ones in the past are still available as free in the shop, but this one is not just one stamp. This one is like a whole set. So I don't know how long this one will remain in the free category, but it could potentially stay or it could move. I don't know yet. So here's my Queen. This is what we're going to color tonight. We're going to color her up, and we're going to use a background from, this is a printed out version of what you get if you download the free poker digi-stamp set. So you get the cards in black and white with the spades. You get blank cards, so you can make it with any of them that you want. So if you want yours to be diamonds or hearts or clubs or whatever, you can make your own. It comes with chips, the words feeling lucky, and then it comes with this border. And you get them colored and uncolored. So if you're in for a quick, really fast card, you could use the ephemera we have in the shop and then the colored images, and then you don't have to color them. So, I mean, this one also comes with a colored version. Not really sure why it isn't showing it in this image, but you do get it. So, I want to use this. So we are going to use these cards blank because I want to use the hearts in it, of course, because we have the Queen of Hearts. But we're going to color it. So I chose this heart, this card set, and this border. And then I took the border and I flipped it so I could have one at the top and one at the bottom with the symbols going in a different pattern. And I'll show that to you in a few minutes. But if you haven't picked this up, this is completely free. You just need to go out and put it in your cart and check out, and you don't pay anything, and it will show up in your inbox, your email inbox. So, I chose, and I'm going to show you how I did it because this is what I came up with. So, this is the cards with the two borders over top of it. See how they're on top? That's because this one was white filled, so it doesn't show anything through it. So I built this background that we're going to use tonight, and then I wasn't sure, so I printed the extra borders, the one that matches the bottom and the one that matches the top, in the same size as this, and then hearts, 4 hearts, that match the same size as these as well, because I couldn't decide if I was going to want to pop up just the hearts or the whole panel or nothing at all. I don't know. So I printed 2 versions in case I mess up. And now I'm going to show you real quick like how I did that. So this is my Mac computer. This is Pages. It's down here. It's kind of like the Word program, but for a Mac computer. So what I do is, these are the digital images that were downloaded, and you just, this is the white fill. All of them are the PNG white fill. So you take it and you drag it. You can drop it in there. Then you can resize it to whatever size you want. And the size will tell you right here what size it is. And then you can move it around to wherever you want. Oops. And then I'm going to take this one, this is the border, and I'm going to drop it in there. It'll drop it on top, not a big deal. It's what's highlighted, so I'm going to resize it right here, just up and down. It's the white fill, so I can put it over the cards wherever I want, and it's going to cover them up. If this was just a PNG file, you would not be able to do that, because you would see these cards underneath sticking out. So that is the reason I like the white fill. And then I took another one of these and dropped it in there. And then I just did like a right click, which will allow me sometimes to flip the objects. So let's see. I usually do that in the other program, so I don't really see it in here, but, oh, wait a minute. Let's look in Arrange. Maybe it's there. Back to front, align. There should be something that says, oh, wait a minute. Image is what we want. There should be something that says that you can flip it. I don't see it in here. And that's why I give you both directions, so you won't have to worry about figuring out how to do it. Although I think if you just drag it over, it'll flip automatically. Yeah. So there we go. Oh no, it didn't. Nope, it just flipped it the same way. But that's okay. You could use the other border that is flipped the right way. You can look at the size, you can measure it the same, or you can sit it on top of this one to see if it's the same size. This one is a little bigger, so I usually move it around until it's about the same size. And then that way they're the same size on the top as they are on the bottom. And then I put the little hearts inside. So the heart's really big because you can use it as big as you want, or you can make it as small as you want. And I took it and stuck it in here, and then you can rotate it by going to like the Arrange. You can tell it how far you want it to rotate, and you can rotate that around. So that's kind of how you do the digital images. It's pretty easy. I usually do mine in Silhouette, so this is my Silhouette program, and I'm pretty sure I already have it in there under the design. That's where I designed mine. And I wanted 2 to a page, so I just designed it and then flipped it completely on its side so 2 of them would fit. So that's what I did. I did add the hearts, a baby heart underneath each letter, and then one right here. But you have all the symbols, so you can make them whatever you want. So I usually use Silhouette. This makes it really easy for me, and all I have to do is right click, and it says I can flip it horizontally or vertically, so you can flip it this way or you can flip it this way. I try to flip them for you when it's possible to flip them, just so you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, that's how I do it. So I designed it, I got the page the way I wanted it, and I printed it out, and now we have this. So that's just a quick rundown on how I did it. Hey, a bunch of you popped in while I wasn't looking. So hey Mom, hey Diana, hey Barbara. So that's how I get it. Now, once I printed this out, I was like, wow, that looks way bigger than my card. But I know that I sized it correctly in there. So I just grab my ruler and make sure it's the size I want it to be. So from the top to the bottom points, it's 5 inches and our card is 5.5. So we're good, and we can even put a border on there. And then this way, this is the longest part of it. So I'll measure it there to there, and it's slightly under 4. So that's perfect because it's 4 1/4 wide. So we'll be able to cut this and mat it with something. So you can put a box, or you can see the measurements of your design when it's in the program. So it should work out fairly easily. Sometimes I get it a little bigger than I wanted, or a little smaller, and maybe you have to print it once or twice or 3 times or whatever. This one what I thought was too big, and when I measured it, it's the exact size of a card, and I didn't want it to be quite that big. So I reprinted it, and when I did, I messed up by, I didn't have the words behind this one. I had this one behind that one. So I had to reprint it because they were in the wrong, not in the order I wanted them to be. So anyway, that's how I ended up with this. Hey, Jana. Hey, Cheryl. So now what I'm going to do before we get ready to like actually color it and everything is I'm going to use the one on this side. So I'm going to start with it, you know, pretty close to the edge for now, and I'll trim down as needed, but I'll flip it over. Now wherever I cut now is going to be how wide the card base is going to be. So 4 is where I want it to be, but now it's going to cut the image. So I'm going to scoot it over a bit. I actually want it to be on the edge of these, and I'm okay with it cutting the cards just a little bit. So I'm going to trim that one like that. And then I'm going to go back and trim just a little bit more off of this side, because I really do want it to be right at the edge of those, the border. I mean, it's a border. I want the border to be the full bottom of the card. So I'll trim that off. I want to leave it a little bit of room at the top and a little bit at the bottom. So I'm going to start off by cutting it this way. And I'm just using like this little line right here on my trimmer to decide where I want to cut that, just so it's the same amount on both sides. And then that sets me up with the background that I want to use for the card. I don't know which colors yet I want in the background, so I have red, black, and gray pulled out for now. But I do like the size. This is a little less than 4, and that's good. And then this one is slightly less than 5.5, so it's going to have to be smaller than that. So I'm going to go ahead and trim just a little bit more off of both ends so you can keep them even. You want the top and the bottom to look the same. So now it's just a little bit less. And it's right about 5 and a little over 5 and maybe 5 1/4, which is perfect because then I can still, you know, play around with that. Now, at the beginning, if you're just now hopping on and you missed at the beginning, I said I actually did some extra hearts in case I wanted to pop them up on top of here. I also did the same thing with the border in case I wanted to pop the whole border up. And I haven't decided on that yet, so we're just going to set those aside for now. I won't be able to decide that until we really get into the coloring. We're going to use our queen. I'm sort of guessing she's probably going to be somewhere around right here. I'm okay with the rest of the background being white because I really like it just like this. But if I wanted to mask it, I could put the masking tape into the printer and print the design on the masking tape. But I didn't have time for that tonight, so I didn't do that. So we're just going to roll with it being the whole background, which I'm okay with. This is the design I'm going for. And then we'll do pop-ups and gems and whatever else we decide at the time. So this is my queen right here. She is a very happy queen. Hi, Meg. I'm going to zoom her in just a little bit. I'm assuming the background is going to be a lot of red and black. So I'm going to hold on to that. Plus, tonight I want to play with the crown, and I want to do it in this gel pen that I have, this gold gel pen. I really wanted to do silver, but I can't find my silver gel pen. Don't you hate it when that happens? I have no idea where it is. I can only find, oh my gosh, I lied. Here it is. All right, we're going to use silver because I think the silver will go better. But I want to use the silver gel pen for the crown. I don't want a Copic color. I want to use this. So we can see if it's really shimmery when you do it. Like, is it really going to show up and stand out and all that stuff? And I'll probably do both crowns with that. So we're going to have time for it to dry. So I want to color her first so she can dry while we work on the background. So we have quite a lot to color tonight. But it's going to be oh so fun. I already pulled out my favorites for tonight, my favorite reds and blacks for tonight. So these are for sure what I'm going to use for the background. And we may go different on the queen. So I have for the background, if you're coloring with me and you want to pull out the background colors, these are going to be the ones that I'm going to use. And I generally hold them in the order I'm going to use them. So R89, R39, R46, and R24. So those are going to be the ones I'm going to do the card base with. And then for the black color, I think I'm going to use these, but I also may pull in this one as well. So 100, C9, C7, C6, and C5. So these are going to be my main black and red. So everything I do on her, I'm going to want it to relate to the cool black and the red. So that's my theory on that part. All right, so for skin tones, I haven't actually pulled those out, so we're going to pull them right now. I think I'm going to go with, I think we're going to do it a little bit darker skin tone tonight. Just for funsies. Why not switch it up, you know? So I'm going to be using E00, E000, E11, E13, and E15. So we'll actually be using them in this order. We'll do the E000 first because that'll be our base code. So E000, E15, E13, E11, and E00. These are the ones we're going to use first, and we're going to use those now. Okay, here we go. Time to get started. Okay, when I drew her arms right here, these can be little bracelets, and you can do her arms in her natural color if you want her to have short sleeves. Or these could be the cuff of a sleeve. So you choose what you want yours to be. On the package, I believe I did them as sleeves, but tonight we're going to do them as bracelets and arms, because, you know, you got to switch it up so you can see all of the cool things you can do. So I'm just going to put this E000 base coat on there, and maybe we might even give her a little bit of, you know, eye makeup tonight. Because we can do whatever we want on our girl. I really like this girl. She makes me happy. I did not make her necklace open for you to like design inside of it, because I knew it was going to be so small that you wouldn't really be able to do a whole lot with it. So we'll see. I haven't colored her by making this like her arms. So we'll get to see tonight how that'll look. I think it'll still look just fine. Because sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, oh, is that supposed to be her arm or bracelets? Or what does she have on her arm? So we're going to make them bracelets tonight. That's it. There's not a lot of skin on here. She's all covered up in her nice, beautiful dress. I love her dress. Here we go. E15 is going to be our shadow color, so I'm going to put that up here at the top. And remember, when you put this in, if you just go like this, you're going to end up with that pointed area right there. Don't leave that pointed, because we never have pointed shadows on our heads like that. So we're going to kind of round that off so it looks more human-like. And this hair that goes all the way down the side of her face, I'm going to go down a little bit further than I normally do, just to give her a little bit more shadow on that side. And then a little bit on this ear that's hidden up underneath there. And then for her neck, I'm going to do a little bit from both sides. And this, we have to hold our marker upright so we don't get too much coming out at one time. Hold yours up all the way upright. I'm going to hold mine just kind of to the side, because you guys can't really see when I hold it upright very well. So hold it like that when you're doing it, but I'm going to hold mine to the side a little bit. Underneath her little cuff right there, the center, like where her arm folds, underneath her little bracelet here. And then the bottom part of her hand is where I'm going to put the color on that side. And then the same thing over here underneath where that cuff is. I'm going to do that little part where her fold of her arm is, and then the underside of this arm along with just slightly under that bracelet. And for her hand, because she has something actually in her hand, I'm going to do the shadows towards the tips of her fingers, because I think the outside is where more light would get to. So that's our E15. If you're ahead of me or behind me or whatever, know that I'm going to pull out R20 for her cheeks. I didn't mention that with my skin tones, but I am going to use R20. Okay, E13 is next. And we're going to push back that color into that shadow area. And it's going to be pretty dark for right now, but it'll lighten up when we use the other colors. So don't freak out if you're coloring with me. It's okay, I promise. It looks dark, but it's not too bad. I'm going to go under her eye a little bit on that side, just because there's more shadow over there than there is over here. And then the same thing with, I'm going to start doing a little bit more shadow on this side than this side, just so we can stay complementary to how the hair is. And then we're going to extend from where we put it on her arm. Going to do completely under the bracelet. And then I'm going to try really hard to just touch in between these little fingers. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry if you can't do it that tiny, it's fine. And then over here, I'm going to go down the part that's right next to that stick right there for her little, I don't even know what you call that, but her staff or whatever with her hearts on it. That's probably going to be a dark color anyway, so if you get something in it, don't worry, it's okay. We'll cover it up with color anyway. So there we go. I am going to touch just a tad bit on her nose right now while I have this color out. I don't like to accentuate the nose very much, so I won't do a whole lot with that. It's a personal preference. If you like it, now would be the time to start building out the nose, but I don't. I'm not a fan of it. Okay, E11, we're going to pull from the dark colors that we have, and we're going to extend down on her face. Now you'll know, because we used darker color, that that left a line there. And that's okay for right now. I'm going to go back to it and work that line out a little bit more after I finish putting the ink everywhere on her face that I want it to be, and then we'll go back and work on that transition. So like right now, we did it going like this. Now I'm just going to go over it again, over that area and then extend it. We're just going to work those transition spots. And you should have a fairly smooth, it's like you can't see the lines anymore, like it's fairly smooth on there. But if you're still having trouble, you can definitely always go back in and try it one more time until you get that to be nice and smooth. It will get nice and smooth, so don't worry about that. And then I'm gonna do just a tad bit on her nose since I put the darker color in there. And then we're going to work these sides where we have that dark color at. You'll notice I'm using this one for around the outside as well. Just making sure I go around the whole outside. I don't like to go around the outside with the lightest color, and we only have one color left, so we got to work that now. I think I'm going to go back up here and touch under her eyes. So I want to keep those eyes standing out. Now I'm going to work on the arms, and for the most part, most of that's going to get colored in. I'm just going to leave a really tiny spot in the center for the lightest color to blend with. So I'm going to go around the tips of her fingers and then up from her wrist and leave just that knuckle area white. And this one, I'm going to do all in this color. I'm not gonna leave any white area because I feel like with her hair and the staff or whatever that is, she's probably not gonna have a bunch of highlight there, so we'll get that colored in. Now this is the point where I add in the cheek color, so we're gonna grab our R20 and we're going to put it in her cheeks. It's going to be pretty pink for now, but we'll tone it down with our E00 here in a few minutes. So if it's not pink enough for you, we can go in a second time and add more pink. But for now, I'm just going to put one coat in there. And I put it all over the cheeks, not just one spot. E00 is where we're going to blend all the rest of it together now. So we're going to go extending where that other color was. I'm just softening up here because this is wet and that's dry, and so I didn't want you to be able to see that transition right there. And then we're going to go over this pink and fill in the rest of the white. I'm going to go over this pink and do the same thing. And this should soften up any of your blush so your cheeks just look rosy. That's what we really want, rosy cheeks. For this part right here, it's just a little bit in the center, so I just kind of do this little bit of back and forth to get that color in there. And make sure you don't have any lines from one color to the next, just so you know it's smooth. And then for her arms, I'm just going to go back and forth over this area in the center where we have that little bit of highlight. Just don't do it too much because you'll wash out the color and then it'll look like she has a big white line on her arm, and we don't want that. So you want to practice that. Make sure that you don't do it too much. When I first started coloring, I would scrub the paper so hard with the colors, and then I would have to go back in and add all the dark colors back in, and that causes you to do twice as much work, and nobody wants to do that. So I had to teach myself to color a little bit of the color and then let it rest a minute and then go back if you need to. But give it a chance for those colors to mix together. So see how beautiful and gentle and soft her skin looks? She doesn't have any skin problems, that lucky girl, her. Okay, next we got to work on hair. What I learned is, hey Christina, what I learned from coloring these for the packaging is that if I'm gonna do the hair red and black, then I probably want to do a little bit less red and black in here and a little bit of white, just because it's a little overpowering, although it still looks beautiful. And if I do black in the hair, then I want to change up the dress. So I don't know what color hair to do. You guys can tell me if you want red hair or if you want black hair. Either one. Or, you know what we could do? Let's do this. Let's do the tips in red and the rest in black. So let's mix her hair up just a little bit. I think that'll be fun, and it'll give that really, really pretty, you know, hairdo. So for this, I'm going to use red. Yes. I'm going to use the grays and the reds that I have pulled out for the hair. But for the reds, I'm going to use R39 and I'm going to use these three, 39, 37, 35, but I'm not sure exactly how much of each one I'll need, but we'll go when we get there. And then for the hair, we're going to use the C's, but we're also going to use this B32. We're going to underpaint with this B32, kind of like we do with the skin tone, how we just put that coat down to wet the paper and stuff. We're going to do that with this B32, but we're going to do it at the top of her hair, kind of like this. Because when you put in that black color, if you don't want it to look like flat black and you want it to look like hair, you're going to have to put some blue under it. Because it has blue in it. It just does. Trust me, it just does. So that's all the blue we need. It's also going to show us where our highlights are going to be, so it's just helpful to have it in there. I'm going to start off with C9 at the top of her hair, but if I need it a little bit darker, I'll come in with the 100. So I'm going to start with the part of her hair, and definitely under the crown. All of that is going to be dark, dark. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting this in here. I'm doing these little brush strokes. Ooh, my brush strokes are off today. Maybe I need to go this way. Sometimes, yep. Sometimes I have a rough day on doing whether I'm pushing or pulling the marker. And I guess today is a pull day. I have to just pull the color. So I'm going to go straight underneath that crown, and then off from the crown, I'm going to do some of these streaks. And you know, we've talked about this when we do hair. This is so it looks like hair when we get done. Just adding some of them in there. You don't want too much because we are going to two-tone her hair, so we definitely want to be able to see both colors in there. So I'm going to put some dark right up underneath this little thing she's holding as well. What would you call that? Scepter. Scepter. See, I knew he'd have a better word than I did. So this is the tips of her hair, just like this will be. So I'm going to put just a little bit of this dark color right here in this corner. Just a little bit. Not too much. This is two-tone hair. You guys are going to be excited about this. C7 is next. The hardest part with two-tone hair is if you want the tips to be the lightest part, how do you blend the light gray with the dark pink or red? So we'll look at that in a minute. So you have to really think ahead when you're coloring it like this to make sure that you've left the right space and that you bring in the dark colors at the right time. It's a little bit more challenging, but not difficult. I think we're going to do the tips, but we also may go up into her hair a little bit with the pink, just because it's so pretty. And I'm starting lighter than I would normally do, just because I don't want it to be too dark. We can darken it, but we can't lighten it. So just playing around with these a little bit with these lighter colors instead of the darker ones to start off with. So we probably will come back in with that 100 and add some dark back into it. So before I move on to more of the gray, I'm going to switch to the pink or red, if you will. R39 is garnet. It's pretty red. So I'm going to start off so I can see like how dominatingly red it is on this part that's up underneath in the shadow. So I have a little bit of that. And then I'm going to mix some into this side part right here. And I'm going to do just that line and the underside of her hair right here. And a little bit here, because we're going to want to start feeding this into the black colors as well. So I'm just starting off with this dark one. The other colors will blend easier because they're lighter. But we got to have some of this dark color in there. So I'm just adding in the most shadowed areas some of this dark color. And now I'm going to work with R37. And I'm going to start like here on the tips of this hair. We only have 3 colors. So we're just going to get some of this in here. And it will really be the C6 and the R35 that are really going to blend together. So moving that up. I'm also going to start going just a little bit along here so we can get a little bit more of that reddish pink going into her hair. All right, I'm going to switch back to the gray now so I can work this top part right here. So we're going to extend further, going down to meet those red colors. I know she's really light. It looks gray right now, but we're going to go back in with the dark colors again in a minute. So this is just getting that color in there. Now, we're going to use the R35, and this one is where the brightness is going to come because this color is way brighter than the rest. So this is where you're going to get the really fluorescent-y color. Late to the party, and my husband just got back from fishing trip last night, beating him at cribbage 6 times in a row. Ha! Good job, Beth. Now we're going to go up into that black, just so we can get some blending going on here. And then this side over here. Right up into that. We'll do a little bit over here. You want to make sure you're watching like how far the color's going up on both sides. You want to keep that kind of even. So that was our last red color, and we still have one gray color. So I'm going to go in with this C5 real quick and cover up any white areas with this C5. And then we're going to go back in and add some depth to it. So I'm not going over the whole thing. I'm just filling in the areas that have white still in it, because I don't want any white areas in there. And then that kind of mixes them together. So I went in conservatively with the dark black, but now we're going to go back in and really deepen it up. So this is the 100. It is very dark. So I'm going to go in and add really light, tiny brush strokes. This is what's going to build that depth into her hair. I'm not putting them side by side. I'm just meshing them in there. Some are a little bit right over top of that red, and that's okay. So you can see it's starting to really kind of come to life, but it needed a second coat. Now, if I would have started with this color, I probably would have been fine, but I didn't want to scare those that are coloring with me by putting too much of this really dark right away. I like that. I'm going to do just a little bit over here, just so we have a little bit more in that area that should be shadowed anyway. Now we're going to come back in with our C9. We're kind of walking those numbers down, but we won't go all the way down. I'm going to add some more. Again, sort of in between where I put the last colors, but kind of deepening this up a little bit, because I really do want it to look black to red. So, not gray. I don't want her to have gray hair. Which, I mean, she could, if you wanted to know how to do gray hair, that was kind of how you do it, only with lighter grays, and you would get a really pretty gray tone hair. But this one starts to build that in. So I'm going to go in with C7 now. And so we don't have this big contrast between here's red, here's black. I'm going to do a couple of little strands of the black into the red, just so we don't have that big of a contrast. I want it to look like some of the black is filtering down into the red as well. Just a few, and just very lightly. Just a couple. How are my people who are coloring with me? How's it going? Are you following me? Am I moving too fast? Hopefully not. Now I'm going to switch to one more marker and then I'm going to be finished. So I'm going to switch to R35. And that was that lightest one. And that's going to be just to soften the transition area between the color I just put in there and what I had before. Just to kind of get that to soften up a little bit. And I don't want it to have a harsh transition between the light color and the dark color. So I want it to really mix, kind of like my hair does, with the purple. So if I hold it up, you can see that it goes from dark black to a very light pink-ish red. I feel like I missed one tiny spot, so I'm going to go back with my C9 and do this one, literally one tiny spot. That was one tiny spot. Now, you can kind of see that my marker is a little teeny bit shiny up here. It doesn't look shiny to me, but it does on camera, so I'm going to take this favorite eraser that I have here. And I'm just going to run it across the top real quick to see if I can take a little bit of that off so you guys don't see that. See how much better that looks? I like it better that way. But now it looks like hair and it's blended the way we want and we still got that black color, and yeah, it makes me happy. All of that makes me happy. So now we're going to work on the dress. So I think I need a little bit of pink mixed in. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to add the R32 to these red colors we have pulled out. So now we have a bunch of red colors pulled out. Let me show you. We have R89, R39. Let's see if I can get these to stand up right. Here's R89, R39, R37, R46, R35, R24, and R32. So these are all the red colors I'll be filtering through. You want that hair but purple? Yep. So mine has fuchsia and purple in it. So I'm about to get it done I have to get it done for the wedding. So, and no, I'm not changing the color. My son gets me at the wedding the way I am, with purple fuchsia hair. Although I didn't kill him with a purple dress, so I didn't want to be a big plum at the wedding, so. Okay, let's try and make her, let's make her sleeves look a little bit sheer. You know how you can buy those sleeves where you can kind of see through? If you don't know how to do that, let's do that right now. So we are going to need maybe E00 and E000. And what we're going to do is with E00, I'm going to just, you know, just kind of sketch in a little bit of a line in there where her arm would attach or would go underneath the sleeves. So this one I'll just kind of go like this, just sort of over the shoulder. And it's really, really light, really, really, really light. See, it's really light. And then we're going to go in with our E00 and do in between. Not a whole lot of ink, just very, very light. Now remember, we're going to go over this with some, with a color for the sleeve, but we want to be able to make it look like you can see that arm through it. Oh, you like the heart magnets? We had some we practiced with changing the colors, but we didn't really like any of them, so we left them raw. This one was with like a leathered wood, and this one was with sparkle, but you can only see it a little bit. Can you see the sparkle on there? I wanted to sparkle them all up, but yeah. They were pretty easy to make too. If you've never, well, we used the laser cutter, so maybe that. But they were pretty easy. I was excited. It worked out really good. My tasks she gave me to do for the wedding were super easy. They were not hard at all. Okay, now I'm going to skip the sleeves because I don't know exactly what color I want them to be yet. And I'm going to pick out the places I want to be red. And then we'll go from there. So I'm going to use R89 first. I want to, the stuff I want to be red, I want to do that first. But I want that to dry so when I do the sleeves, you can really see what we're doing. Okay, I definitely want this center belt on her waist to be red. And I know you want to say why. I don't know why. Just, you know, we're just randomly picking the parts that we want to be red. And then I want this outside of where the hearts are. I want that to be red. So this area right here. So I'm just going to add some of that red in here. In a few little places. Like that. I like that so far. Perfect. And then I think I'm going to do the base line of her dress in red as well. So I'm going to do a little bit here. And then on this side, I'm going to do a little bit this way. And then I'm going to go back in and do a little bit from the other direction as well. Kind of want it coming from both sides because I want it to look like it's very rounded down there. And for now, I want to do the hearts on her crown up here. So I'm going to go ahead and do them. I don't know what else I want to do in red. But I'm pretty sure this collar piece is going to have to be black because otherwise you won't be able to see, the hair won't stand out as much. So I'm going to put a little bit at the bottom of these hearts that's closest to the crown that we're going to use the gel pen for. We got to do the gel pen last because it takes a little while for it to dry, and we'll be working on the other thing when we, you know, while it dries. So since I did those hearts, I'm going to do these hearts, and then I'm going to do all the hearts I can find. So we're going to do this heart right here. And I like to do them dark on one side. So just pick a side, any side, pick a side, pick a side. I just like to stick with one side of it being darker than the rest. That almost looks like it's a hole in her dress, kind of. And then this one at the bottom here of this piece, I want that one to have red. And then I'm going to do the large one and the small one, but the inside's going to be something else. So I'm going to do closest to that heart. And the bottom of this heart in this dark, dark red. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. All the way down. Just like that. And then the center one, I'll do just like I did these. So I'm going to pick a side. I don't know why I like to pick a side when I do a heart. I just do. There's no rhyme or reason for that. Okay, now I have the darkest shade in there. So I want to go from R89. The best transition out of all these I have is going to be R37. So we're going to use that one. I'll tell you, if you use the R30s, you get more of a cherry color. And if you use the R46, you get more of a fire engine color. And if you use the R20s, you get more of a reddish orange color. Just saying. In case you were wondering. This is R37. We're going to extend from where we put that original color. So I'm just going to touch all the things with this color. Up the side of that heart, and then down here where the darkest color is. Up around there, then along here. So that does that part. And then this, I want to keep this part that's part of her dress like pretty dark. So most of that's going to get colored in. And some of the other stuff is going to have lighter color red. But I want to keep this because it's on the inside. It's like an inside panel. I want to keep it darker. Again, personal preference. But that's what I like. So then along the bottom here, when we're doing these, we're just going to extend a little bit more. Not all the way though. These are really tiny little brush strokes. And you don't leave your marker on the paper for very long. Just really, really short extension of that original color. Notice I'm not sitting on the paper like rubbing it together to get it to blend. Don't worry about that. Just get a little bit of that color in there and move on. Then I'm going to go to this one. And since this one's upside down, I'm going to go ahead and do around the outside on this one because we're going to keep that one fairly dark as well. And then up here, I'm going to extend this one and do around the outside with this one. But we have to extend from where we put that other color. So up this one. There's a lot of detail on this queen, but you don't have to color all the detail. I mean, you can do it as simplified as you want, but I'm not a simplified kind of gal. So they're always going to get some elaborate stuff with me. Wouldn't it be cool to do citrus images, or is it just me? Oh yeah, it would. Yes. I love coloring lemons and fruits because it's just, oh, it's just so satisfying. And I think she'd be, you could do her in any color. She doesn't have to be, I mean, I haven't colored her in purple yet, but you know it's coming. You know I gotta have purple. We can make her the sugar plum fairy. She would be so pretty as a sugar plum fairy. I'm going to put some in this little gemstone that's right here as well. She could be a great sugar plum fairy, I think. Now I'm going to switch to our 46. And I think we're going to keep all these colors this dark. So we're going to just blend out and fill in the remaining colors with this R46. R46 is my favorite red. It's my absolute favorite Copic red marker. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a set of like 3 colors in number order. It has a 43, but it's really, really pinky. It's not really red, but this red with those other color sequence is amazing. Look at how beautiful that looks. So pretty. I'll finish the little hearts that are on the front. This one. And we'll come up here and we'll finish the tops of these. And I won't put a whole lot in there because I want to leave that really highlighted at the top. We'll finish these. I'll finish this little stone right here. And then we'll finish these little hearts up at the crown level. Like her and the Mad Hatter, they're some of my favorites because there is so much detail and you can do so much with them that they're just fun to do. Okay, we have our waistband and everything at the bottom in our red color finished, but I feel like it's still missing red like at the top. So I think I'm going to do this stripe right there in red. So I'm going to grab that R89 again. I'm going to put at the top and the bottom. Hoping it'll blend with that waist color. I think I'm going to make our bracelets gold too. We'll just save those for the gold gel pen. Same colors, we're just repeating them. R37 is next. Right here. Remember, we're only going to do one more color, which is R46. This right here, finish that off. There we go. Okay, she just needed a little bit at the top to be red. Otherwise, I felt like it was a little off. Now we're going to use blue, but we're not doing hair. I mean, black. So we're not doing hair, so we're not going to use this B32 anymore. That was just when we were doing her hair. I think I'm going to pull out the C3, C1, and C00 for any area that I want to be more like white. So that is what we're going to do the puffy sleeves with. And probably this centerpiece. So we're going to do those areas before we do the black. So we're going to start with C3. We're going to do up here closest to the body where these poofy sleeves are, where our arm is in there. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Right up against her body right there. So pretty. And then we're going to make these pieces right here are going to be white. Right here. So these side panels. Underneath her hand. This is almost like a lacy part on top of the dress, you know. I'm going to do a little bit at the bottom here on both sides. that. And I think I'm going to do this center part right here. So down from this peak area right there, I'm going to do slightly along the side of each of these hearts. It'll give them a little bit of depth to see it that way. And then I'm going to do the corners a little bit. We want to be careful we don't pick up any of that red color. I normally don't do white-ish right next to red, but I made this decision after the fact, so yeah, it just happens. C1 is our next one. And we're just going to blend out from where we put the C3. Just kind of soften that edge. Don't go too far. Same thing here. And then I'm going to work on this one. It's a little bit bigger, and we're not worried about seeing our arms or legs through this, so we can apply a little bit more pressure. And then this side. Definitely going to go along that side of the, whatever Dale called that tool right there. And then I'm going to go along the edge, kind of soften that. I'm not going to touch the center parts for the hearts yet. I'll wait for the next color for that. Can't really see it too much on camera, but you can see it for sure if you're coloring it. C00 is the last color, so I'm just going to do like a really light coat right over top of this. If you lose the skin in there, then you'll want to go back with that E000 and just touch it one more time to make sure that you still have that like skin tone there. And then you should be fine. And I'll show you mine up close here in just a moment. This is C00, so it is really light. And when we put the black in here, this is going to look more white than gray. I think your brain just knows to go to envisioning it in white, even though it's really gray. I picked up a little bit of red. I hate when that happens. So as soon as I saw it, I want to stop so I can clean off the tip of my brush just to make sure I don't make it any worse. I don't think you guys can see it so much. I stopped right away, but be very careful around those reds. They are a beast for spreading that red. Once you get red in the wrong place, it is hard to fix, if you can even fix it at all. So there we go. I think the only place I missed, and I'm going to do it real quick, is I want to do this inside part right here in these colors too. So this is C3, and I'm just going to start out by putting a little bit on each of the artist drawn lines right there. That's going to be step 1. I think maybe I'll do these as well. These little loops right there. And then C1 is the next one. I'm going to try really hard to be really careful with this. And I'm going to brush stroke down from where I put that color. And I'm going to do down on the other side, going in the other direction, so like this. It doesn't have to be really defined, just get a little bit in there You can't really see it on camera, but I'll hold it up as soon as I'm done with this part. C00, we're just going to go over the whole thing with this color. There we go. And we need to do these. I know I didn't put any C1 in here, but I'm okay with that. Let's just C00. Okay, let's see if I hold these up, if you can really see. So you can see her arms in there. They're not defined, but you can, there's enough there to tell you, oh yeah, that's her arm in there, I can see. Now we're gonna come in with the blacks. And this time I am gonna start with the 100. She looks great, you like her? Me too. She is definitely a little on the sassy side. Okay, so behind her hair is normally just the wall or whatever's behind, but she has a vest on, and or a whatever you call that, a hood or a whatever. And I actually colored part of the hood in that red color, so I'm just gonna go over it with this black because that was really supposed to be part of her whatever you call that. I don't know why I'm struggling with words tonight. This part that's up close to her head, that's always a dark. No light really getting in there. So this underside part, I'm just doing this in the 100. So it's really, really dark. And it'll definitely show the contrast in her hair. And then I'm going to do what's right underneath her hair with this darkest one. And then I'll wait for the next color on the other part. I think I want this, her bodice part right here is going to be this black color. And we're going to do the bracelets in the silver, so I don't have to mess with that. This under here, where those little flaps are, that's going to get this dark black as well. And be careful when you're applying this. Don't apply too much because this is the really, really dark color. And it's going to be hard to get any contrast with this color on there if you put too much. But if you just put just enough, it'll be great. So just get just enough in there. Not too much, but there we go. Just a little bit here. And then for the bottom, this bottom part down here, I'm just going to do these little lines in between. That's all I'm going to do with this black color. Just the separating lines. And then this little thing, I'm going to start it off with some dark under the shadow areas. Words are hard for me tonight. Don't really know why. Scepter, I think Dale called it. So then we can't forget this part right here. So that part is definitely going to be black as well. And we're not doing the crown right now, so we're skipping that. Okay, next one we're going to use is C9. I'm going to leave just a teeny bit under there to be able to use one more color. Same thing with this part right here. I mean, I definitely want these to be pretty dark, so we have a really good contrast going on here. I think this is like the third or fourth time that I colored her, and every single time I did her different. Every single time. But always in red, black, and white. So I can't wait to do her in some other color. mean, because she doesn't have to be just the Queen of Hearts. She can be any queen. With a little crown up there. Or if you have a hat, you can just put a hat on her and then you can't even see the crown. All your choices. So for those of you who are watching, if anybody was wanting this, especially the paper pack, you need to get on it. I think we only have like 4 paper packs left. Which means once the paper pads are gone, we can't do the bundle anymore because we don't have all the pieces. So the bundle will go away. So if you were pondering waiting, I would be careful or you might miss out on the paper. And the paper is pretty amazing. It's sold super fast. This one. This is the front. This is the back of all the papers. They're very vibrant and beautiful. But if you want them, you better grab them now. Okay, next is going to be C7. And I think C7 might be it. I may do the next one on the bottom, but the rest of these are all going to get colored in with this C7. So this part will finish up here with C7. This part, C7. This part. Yeah, I think C7 is great for that. That finishes that up very nicely. I'm going to finish this as well because I want to keep that pretty dark. And then here, I'll probably leave some small highlight areas. This is a much bigger space to add in just a little bit of another color. This is when you can get to moving a little bit faster. You're towards the end and you just have these small areas left. And I don't worry about the red when I'm doing black because you won't be able to see it anyway. Hi, Walter. Very nice to see you popping in. One more is C6. We're going to use that one to finish off down here. So I'm just going to do this up and down kind of motion to blend that out. We call it blending, but technically the ink's doing all the work. I'm just putting it on the paper. So when you stop, just give it a little bit for it. It'll continue to blend after you lift your pen off the paper. And that's the part that most people miss. And so they end up washing the colors out, and that's why. Okay. So the rest of what I'm going to do with that Deco-gel pen. I really like these Deco-gel pens. So this one is the Star Sparks, and it's silver. But it's like really pretty. It comes out super wonderful. It's really shiny. And I think it'll look really good on the crown and the bracelet and all that. But we need to let it dry afterwards. And we're going to do the background. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, we better do the eyes. Because if I don't, we're going to mess it up. Let's just grab real quick for the eyes. Let's do them in... What color do we want to do them in? Let's do them in blue. Like a dark blue. So like B26. Maybe B04. And then let's pull some of that BG color in because I really like to do that. So let's do BG11. So I know these are weird eyes, but we're going to do it anyway. B26, it's going to be our first one. And we're just going to do at the top of these eyes, the really dark area. And this pen isn't really all that dark, B26. There are darker colors. So if you want a darker contrast, you could pull a darker, like a darker bead color. And then we're going to use 04. So this is going to kind of bring it a little bit teal-ish. But we're not putting a whole lot in there. But it does give us the bridge between blue and the blue-green that we need in order to make these eyes really stand out. And then I just leave that bottom of it. Like, look how pretty it looks without any. I mean, it still looks pretty even without adding any more color to it. But in order to keep them glassy, you need a really light color on the bottom. And I like to always add a little bit of G00. And this one will do the place of that. So you just mix it back and forth just enough to soften those little edges from where you stopped with the last color, but not to wash anything out. And you have these really gorgeous eyes. And that's how you do it. It makes them really, really pretty, and they stand out just so much on your card. So now we can go in and do our silver gel pen. So I'm going to put it, and you'll notice when I do it, I don't just color like I did on the paper like this. Like, I do it a little bit of lifting, because I feel like it sets a little bit more color on the paper, so it almost looks puffy, like a puffy paint kind of thing. Plus, it moves the color so you don't have streaks as much, and I like that too. So I'm gonna turn her upside down so I don't mess up her little bracelets there. And then we're gonna go along here. It's kind of like I sort of guide that ink across there when I'm using these gel pens. But man, do I love these gel pens. These are the Deco-gel pens from like Olo company. Like, if you go to the olo.com website, that's where I got these Deco-gel pens. They have three different sets. I have all of them. I just love them. I don't use them nearly as much as I would like to. That's why I wanted to use one tonight on the show. And you'll notice that I am trying to go between where the black lines are, because I feel like if I cover up the black lines, it won't define it as much. So, yay, you're back. I'm so glad you're back. I really want to be able to see the lines, so I kind of went in between. And then for this one, like, I'm not just going to color over top of where the lines are. I really want to be able to see those lines, so I have some definition to the object that I'm adding this gel pen to. Okay. Now, I'm going to hold that up so you guys can see. I think I'm going to touch this little heart around her neck. Even though it was already in black, I think it will make that heart stand out just to have a little bit of the silver on it. So let me see if I can hold this up so you guys can really see. So see how you can see the lines like in the crown that most people just cover up with the gel pen, but I like to be able to see them. So I try to do it really carefully, and I just love how it turns out. And then for her necklace, you can see the shine on her necklace that wasn't there before. So we're going to let her dry. And at the beginning of this video, if you just popped in and you missed the beginning of the video, I went over exactly how we built this background right here. So this is a digital stamp set that we are offering for free for this month with the release, and it's a full set. It's not just one item, it's like a full set. It looks like this. You get the cards, the different suits, you get a border, you get chips, and the words feeling lucky. And so I showed in the beginning of this video, so if you want to see how I built this to make this, then just watch the video again, or you can catch it on YouTube. I'll upload it to YouTube, but make sure that you go out and download this. That whole set is free on the website, so you guys just go grab it while you can. It wasn't just one, it is all of it. Okay, now remember at the beginning of the video, I also said we were going to use the black colors, C9, 7, 6, and 5, and possibly 100. And then for the red, I wanted to use our 89, 39, 46, and 24. Those are the colors that I wanted to use. Thanks, Barbara. I really like this background. So I just built it myself. It was super fast. But I also talked about how I have some extra pieces that I printed out as well. Just in case I want to pop something up, I have another border in case I want to pop it up. Or I did these hearts, which I think we're going to use. So I sized them so they fit right over top of these. And I counted how many there were. There's 4. So I'm going to color these. And what I'll do is just cut them out. And then I can pop them up on the, you know, just to give it a little bit more dimension. So you can do all of this. But this border is in this set. And you get the colored version and the black and white. You get the colored cards and the black and white, and the colored chips and the black and white, you know. So I gave you all the things colored and not. So if you're trying to make a super fast card, the images are already colored inside. So you could use the black ones, you could use the red ones, you could use chips, and there's a colored border as well. So you get everything, but we're going to color it because I don't think it'll take us too long. But we're going to start with black tonight. I'm not going to do, like we did hearts. You could put any, I gave you a blank one. You could put any set of cards you want. So if you wanted to do, you know, a royal flush, you could do that as well. And I'm going to do the spades and the clubs the same. So I'm just going to go at the bottom of these. This shouldn't take us too long. These are pretty easy to do, and we're not going to be switching between too many markers because it's not alive and it doesn't have to have a whole lot of specific shadowing. So these are on the bottom. So I'm going to do the bottom side of them with this darkest color, just so I can start kind of building this out. The bottom side of this one and this one. And I figured this would make it fun for us to like create our own backgrounds. And I gave them to you colored in case you don't color as much as I do. And uncolored in case you're just dying to do it yourself like me. Like, I can't wait to do this girl in purple and then do all this stuff in purple too. How fun would that be? I'm going to color the top ones the same way. So at the bottom is where I'm going to put the shadow. You could switch it up if you really wanted to. It's up to you. It's your, you know, your design. The cool part is once you create something, like when I create this in Silhouette, I can save it and then I can print it out again anytime I want and I don't have to rebuild it. So if you have a program like that, that's pretty fun. That's why digitals are so fun, because you can do so much with them. Whereas when you're using the stamp, you have to like you have to mask it and everything, which is fine. I kind of like doing that too. But this will be repeating the same thing over and over to color them. So I think it'll be cool. It won't be too hard. So C9 is next. So I'm going to finish the base part of that, and then I'm going to come up here. And I'll color each one the same way. So now that I've colored the clubs, the other clubs will be colored the same way. Same with spades. I really like cards, but I like gambling and all that stuff, so I like things that are related to gambling and things that are related to cards. I don't know why I like cards so much. I just do. Like I would just have fun with a card like this with just this stuff on it. I even gave you this sentiment with the set that says feeling lucky, so that you could just make a card just out of that. Speaking of, do you want me to show yours, honey?
Sure.
Dale made a card using all of the elements. That he used the stencil background and the stencil sentiment, but he used the printout. He printed it out on photo paper in the colored version and made a card. It's really cute. So yeah, he had already played with the digital files. So I'd have another card to post online, of course. So this part, it's just repeating it over and over again. So it's not really all that exciting to watch. So we could talk about other stuff. Yeah, I know, right? And he doesn't even make cards. He's like all new. You just downloaded the Poker Digital Images. Wow, 35. Yeah, I know. I told you it was a whole set. There's a ton of them. Yeah, there are. But, you know, when we were trying to decide which file to do for digital, we were like, just give that. This goes so perfectly with it. I'm not going to split the file out and only give you one and then make you buy the other one. I mean, I was like, just do the whole file. Just do the whole file. It's so helpful. And so many of you bought their release, so yay. I feel like it was well deserved. So definitely go out there and grab it. And by the way, there's 3 other digital images that are free. So while you're at it, you might as well grab them all. C7. And we have a lot in there for sale for really great prices. So if you like them, this will at least let you test them out. You'll see how the files come, and you can decide from there if you want to get into any of the digital files. The other ones don't come colored, but they do come in both ways, huh?
And if they want, they can bring PNGs into, any of them into like Procreate and color them.
Yeah, you can digitally color them if you know how to use those softwares, like the Procreate and such. And you can use them as coloring pages, kind of. So we're blending this out. I'm on C7 now, in case you missed the swap from 9 to 7. And I think 6 is probably the lowest I'm going to go on these. So then I think this is it for the black, and then we'll switch to red, and red will be the rest, except I'll probably put some of this C3, 1, and 0, 0 on the cards so they stand out a little bit from the white background. So we'll do that. I knew this part wouldn't take me very long, so I didn't mind doing the queen and these. I think we're going to put the queen down in the one corner, so I need to see if those hearts, if I'm gonna need all the hearts or not. So if I put this here, yeah, it's gonna cover one of them. So I just really need to color 3 extras. Okay. This C6 is the next one. Digital is hard for me. I don't know how to fix my TV remote. I struggle with TV remotes too, I'm telling you, but I know how to do, like, it took me a little bit to get the hang of the digital files, but when I first started coloring, I didn't know what my, like, what did I really want to cut, like, I was already spending so much trying to buy the markers a little at a time that I didn't want to spend a lot on a bunch of stamps when I didn't know which brand I was going to really like the best. And so I went and downloaded a bunch of freebies like I'm offering to you guys and practiced on the freebies, and then went back to the companies that I enjoyed coloring the freebies. And those are the ones I started with. I did start my coloring journey with La La Land because the faces and the heads and stuff were so big that it helped me to, like, work on those techniques for blush and cheeks and all that kind of stuff. So I did use their stamp sets a lot, and I bought a lot of their digitals. So I still own like a ton of them, except for the ones I lost when my computer crashed. But for the most part, I would say definitely back up your files on an external drive, which I currently now do, so I don't have to worry about that happening again. But before I knew about that, I certainly did have a computer crash and lost them all. Some companies were super nice, understanding, and pulled as long as I gave them like the orders and stuff, they went back and pulled and made the digital files active for me to download again. But other companies were like, sorry, and I just lost all those. And even one of my most favorite ones was out of business, so I could never go back and get the files again. So that was sad. So definitely make a backup of your files. All right, I went outside the lines just a tad bit at the top of one of these, so I want to try to fix that real quick.
And let them know we have a 5 download limit.
Oh yeah, you can only download them 5 times, but I think if you sign up for an account, can't you? No, it just goes to your email, right? And then you can follow that link and download it up to 5 times. After that, you just got to buy it again or send us an email.
You just have to email us.
Well, they can do it either way. Okay, so we have our blacks ready. That's good. Our reds are going to be our 89, 39, 46, and 24. So I'm going to pull these hearts down so I can do them at the same time. Oops, that's 39, not 89. The numbers are so close, I'm telling you. They just look close. I guess my eyes aren't as good as what they used to be a long time ago. Okay, so starting with the hearts right here. You know how I said I'm going to do one side. I like to do one side of the heart really dark, so I'm going to do this side. I'm also going to follow that same pattern for the heck of it with the diamonds. I don't know, just for a little bit of something different. You could continue to shadow them the same way I did the black ones, but just for funsies. Let's play with this one. You could also do them like put a shadow around them, and that would make them really stand out a lot. I don't think we're going to go that far tonight because we really, our focal point is our queen anyway. We're just adding the colored background. So I'm going to do the same thing on these ones at the top. I'm just going to turn it around because I seem to be coloring in this direction a little bit better tonight than I normally. Normally I can do either way unless I'm having an off night. And tonight might be an off night because I'm struggling a little coloring in the other direction. So don't beat yourself up when that happens. If one day you're coloring and you're like, man, I can't color anything, either in the lines or very well, but I normally can color. Everybody has days like that, so don't stress yourself out. Even I have days like that where I just can't seem to get it to do what I want it to do. Everybody has a bad day, a bad coloring day. I usually just put it away and go back to it and fix it the next day when I'm back to normal. There we go. Now we have these little tiny ones, so I'm going to kind of stick with that same pattern inside here. They're pretty quick. They're tiny lines when you shrink them down this small, like outlines, like the black outlines are pretty small the more you shrink them. But, I mean, it's such a tiny little thing. You could put the colored ones in there if you struggle with that. Kind of up to you. This is a much bigger heart. So I'm just putting a bit more in there of this R89. Then our 39, oops, I missed these. I got to do these because I'm going to add them as pop-ups on the card because I think that's a cool idea. And being that they're all digital, you can make them the exact size of those. That's what I did, so they would match exactly over top. I think I only need 3 though, because the queen's going to be standing over one of them, so I'm only going to color 3 of them. Okay, now our 39. You struggle some days? I think we all do. We all do. The only time it's a real bummer is if you're at an event and you're, you know, like at a coloring event and you're like, oh man, my hand just won't work right today. That's a little frustrating. But other than that, speaking of events, I know there's a save the date out there, so make sure you're marking that on your calendar because more information is coming after I finish with all of the items I've been working on for my son's wedding. Then we will be getting ready to announce the times and what it's all about and what you will get in the entire, you know, where it is and all that good stuff. I struggle, I call that I have a case of the in-betweens. You call it the in-betweens. That's funny. I like that. Let's blending this out. I'm just trying to really make sure that I get a good blend between that dark and the light color. And I'm doing around the outside with this one. I could do around the outside with the next one, but I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to keep the background a bit darker. So, using the darker colors here. So if you guys have any questions, now is a fabulous time to ask me because we're just repeating these processes. So we could totally talk. Our next release will also be coming right after the wedding. So much to do, so little time. So behind the scenes, we're working like crazy here. I know I posted some of the projects we've been making. Dale made the cake topper. It's beautiful. He did such a good job. There we go. And then around the outside of this one. You don't want to press too hard because the more you bend the nib, the more you'll break it down. So that's why you want to do the side of your marker and not like this, you know. So you don't break down the fibers in the nib as fast. So we're going to go over it again because I can still see that line, and I want to kind of blend this out. A little bit more right there. And that'll be nice. And next is our 46, and we're going to leave just a little bit for the highlight. Dadgummit, I missed the extra hearts again. Why do I keep doing that? There we go. You should have, if it's good coloring paper, it won't spread outside the lines when you add more ink. But if you have paper that bleeds a little bit more, you'll want to do that a little bit slower and more cautiously, or don't go all the way to the edge, like color before the edge like that. And then as you put in that ink, it'll spread out and it won't go outside the lines. So keep that in mind. Let's do these first so I don't have that problem again of forgetting them. I'm going to leave a very small amount right at the top of that heart. And I'm going to do that on all of them. Hopefully I'll remember that. There we go. All right, now those three are almost done. Here we go. This is kind of meditative. I could see myself doing this a lot. I like this kind of color, and even though it's repetitive, I like it because I feel like I challenge myself to make it look better each time. So I don't mind at all. This one, I didn't get it quite up there in the corner, so we'll just put it right there. Put our little highlight spot right there. This one will be the same way. And we're going to move up here. Well, went outside the lines on that one just a little bit. We can fix that with the white gel pen if anybody can even tell. This reminds me of sometimes I go through my stencils and I'll draw out the images in my stencils and then color them. That's what this kind of makes me think of when I used to do that a lot. It makes different backgrounds. Just use a multi-liner and draw just pieces from your stencil, not everything, just parts of it, and see what you come up with when you color it. It can turn out being really cool. I'm going to finish these little ones off with this color because they're so tiny. So cute. Look at how cute that is. Amazing. I love it. I really do love it. So I'm going to go back over this one more time because I feel like it's not quite as blended as I want it to be. Making a little bit of noise there. It doesn't always mean your marker is empty. Sometimes it can mean that you've just been using it a lot and it'll take a second for the juice to get back in your nib, or your nib is weak, or it can mean a lot of things. So I don't really worry so much when I hear that. Here's the last one. This is R24. This is going to finish it up, so I'm going to use that back and forth. And right here, just to kind of soften that. I want to kind of leave it a little bit in there where you can sort of see the lines just a little bit. Because I want to leave that like highlight in that side. So you can kind of see how much lighter it is in that side, on that side. You can't see it quite as much on camera as you can in real life. I'll try to hold it up here in just a second so you can kind of see that. So you can kind of see the lines just a little bit. So if you don't like that, you can soften it up. But I kind of like it. It sort of gives that. Plus we can add the white gel pen if we want after the fact. And right in that area. And it'll help with that. So notice I'm not going over everything. I'm only going over this side where I have the lightest color, because this color is so light that it'll move some of the ink around, and I don't want to lighten this side. I want to leave that side really dark. So just working those empty spaces back and forth just to soften that up. There we go. Up here. Then we'll hold them up and we'll choose what color. I have gray, red, and black for the base of the card, and we're going to do a matte. So one of them we won't use, and then we'll use the other two. I don't know which ones yet. I like to hold it up to the finished coloring and decide what matches best with it. So I'm really just blending that out until it looks good to me. I don't have to do the little ones, just the big one. This one, since it's so big, I'm going to work just a little bit more on that line that's right there. And then I'm going to color it in. And that'll kind of soften that line up a little bit, but it'll leave that really bright area on the heart. So I like that. I'll hold it up so you can see it. Oh, I missed one. Holy cow. That's okay. We can do it real quick. R89. I forgot there's one upside down on cards. Luckily, I didn't have to put it on every one of them, but I did have to put it on this one. I think we need to do this side for the dark. That's R89, then 39. But I feel like this really builds a really pretty background. I'm liking how it's coming out. I mean, this was, of course, again, in my head, and I thought we'd just try it. But I'm liking how it's coming out. That was 46. And then I told you I was going to grab this C3, 1, and 0, 0, just because I want to put a tad bit of shadow where these cards are overlapping. So like right here, right here, and then up here we need them a little bit here. Don't worry, I'm going to wash it out. It's not going to stay that dark. around there. It'll just add one little extra element to the whole thing. Oops, I went a little into the other one. I got scared of that red. Don't worry, it looks crazy right now, but I promise it'll be okay when we get done. So really just need a bit of color in there. I'm not going to put any on the top one for now. C1 is the one I'm going to use to kind of soften that line I just put in there. I'm going to turn this upside down so I can soften just that line right there. So it's not so harsh. And then we can blend out with the next one. And I think I might use the colorless blender instead of C00 just because I feel like the colorless blender is better on the white for this than the C00. But in order for it to work the way I want it, I have to soften that line. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. Soften it here, and here, and here, and these down here, and over here. And then I'm going to grab the colorless blender, and we're going to blend that out. Like this. I feel like the colorless blender is the one that really brings it all together. You want to be careful around the red and the black. You don't want to pull any of the red or the black into your card. So we have to be careful around red and black. So we probably should have done this part first. I would say if you're going to repeat this at home, do this part first. Do the grays first. I'm going to flip this around because I'm better at coloring in this direction tonight. If you do touch it, make sure you wipe off your marker before you go coloring in the card, or you're going to have red in your card. Now this one bled over a little when I touched it, so I'm just going to come over here and kind of soften that up. I say it bled. I did it. It was my fault. But this will make the cards stand out a little bit more from the white background, which is where I'm going with this right now. I want to make it not look like the background exactly. And you could even use like a tan or taupe color for this, because cards aren't necessarily always white, you know. Sometimes they can be older or they can be an off-white color. Kind of up to you. I'm going to go along this edge just because I had bled over a little bit. Kind of push that back. And then we'll work on these and this. And that should be it. So now it looks like there's a bit of shadow in there. For these that are really dark, you'll want to come back in like for a second coat after it dries, if you think it's too dark. I kind of like it, but we'll see. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to stand out from the background, and that it is. So if you wanted to, you could do around the outside shadow too, but I'm not really feeling that at the moment. I want that colorless blender to dry, so I'm going to cut these out real quick. And I am going to cut them on the line, probably inside the line, so I don't have any white around them, because I just want to pop them up. I don't generally do this. I usually leave the white border, but for this particular purpose, I'm not going to leave the white border. Turn your paper, not your scissors, when you're fussy cutting. Makes it easier. But see, this is the same size as that. So they'll sit right on top of each other. But when we pop them up with pop dots, it'll look really cool. It'll give us that dimension we want on our card. I also think I have some really shiny bling we could use that will help it feel like it's $1 million. That's $1 million card. And you could be the queen of poker if you wanted on this one.
Queen of Royal Flush.
Royal Flush Queen. One more. Now we're done. It's not too hard. Just move the paper, not the scissors. And you should be able to cut it pretty easy. That's the key to fussy cutting. Once I discovered that, I became much better at fussy cutting than I used to be. There we go. All right. That was pretty easy. Those are done now. If you missed some white on the outside, you can go around them with a marker. But I think we're pretty good. Just pick whichever one you want. Go around it where it's white. Like this one. See, there's a couple of little white spots around the edge. You just go around it. I usually use the chisel end for that. And just kind of fill that in. There's not too much of that, so I'm not too worried about that. But here we go. Let's zoom out. You like it? It's so cute. I love it too. It's really pretty. It pops off the page. She's gonna pop with it. How cute is she? See, she's perfect on here, I think. Here are our colors. So I have a gray. Pretty sure I'm not going to want to go with the gray. I don't know why. I just knew it. So I kind of feel like it will pop more if I do it in this direction than if I do it the other way. I think the black needs to be behind the image. So what I want to do first, because I think we cut this the right size, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to cut the black down to like 1/4 inch smaller than, so it's usually 4.25, so I want to cut this one at 4, and I'm pretty sure that one's cut at 4 too, so I'll have to trim it a little bit. And then this is 5.5, so I want it to be 5.25, and that'll give me my border around the outside of this card. And let me find, there it is. Look, I don't even have a sentiment for her. I'll have to find one though. I just felt like that card was so awesome it didn't even need a sentiment. So that fits on there perfectly. So now I just need to go 1/4 inch smaller with this. So let's see what it is right now. So we did it at 4. We need it to be 3 3/4. So we need like 1/8 of an inch off. So I'm just going to take a sliver off of this side. And then I'm going to do the same thing off of the other side till I'm right at where I want to be. And then I got to do the same thing with this side, and I have more room on this side. So 5 1/4 is where we need to be. No, we need to be at 5, don't we? Because 5 1/4 is where we were before. So we're almost to 5. Let me trim a little bit off this end. It's real close to that edge. So I'm going to trim this side till I get to that 5, which is about right there. It's going to be perfect. And then this will fit right on top of there. Oh, it looks like I cut something crooked. I wonder which one it was. Oh no, I just cut a little bit more off of that one. We'll just trim that down a little bit. Make it perfect. There, it's perfect now. See? No issues. You can always fix it. It'll just be a little bit more border on right and left than up and down, but I think it'll be fine. See? Perfect. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I really love it. I'm going to get all kinds of special tonight and pop up like all the things. So I'm going to attach these two together right away with my Barely Art glue. Look at all that pretty color on the back. Evidently I left my top off of this one. So I had a little goober on the top. Oh, you guys, I really like this card. It's so up my alley. Oh, I am terrible at matching up black on my desk. The desk is so dark that when I try to line up black, it's hard to see. So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to use my soda press to burnish it and spread the glue out and all that good stuff. Woohoo! Okay, while I have a chance, I'm going to just touch this area right here where it bled over, just to get that to go back in the lines. Sometimes when you put a lot of colorless blender, it'll do that, but you can fix it. You saw how quick I fixed that. It was really easy. Okay, I want to pop this whole thing up, and I have these sheets. I bought them on Amazon. They were 8.5 by 11, and I cut them in half. And now I'm just going to cut this one down to match my card base. So I'm going to cut right here. So I want to pop the whole thing up. So I'm just going to lay this on there and see how far. I need to cut it right there, or at least close to there. And then this fits right there on the back, and now you can pop the whole thing up in one shot. I love that. It makes life easier. I got these on Amazon. They were fairly inexpensive, and I got a huge pack of them. So I have a lot of them. Then all you have to do is put it on top of there. It's going to be raised up a little bit. And then this leftover piece right here is what I'm going to use to pop up my hearts and such. So we got this girl who's going to go over here. Oh man, she's so pretty. She's so pretty. She's going to go flat on there since we're going to pop up those other hearts. So I'm just going to put this on here. Doot, doot. I'm going to touch each one of those. Sometimes if you have a lot of glue there, just wipe it on your hand. That's what I do. This Barely Art glue works so good that all you do is rub it off when it dries on your hand. So you could tap it on your hand and then just do this. When you're done and it goes away. Okay, I'm going to flip this over and rub it so I don't mess with that silver that's on the front. I don't think it will, but just in case. I don't want to take any chances. I like it too much. Yes, the black behind. Yeah, I like the black. I think the black makes it pop. Now, if I had more black than red, I think it'd go the other way. But because I have so much red on there, I kind of think it goes better that way. I'm going to flip these over. And I'm just going to cut little tiny pieces off of here. I don't think we need much more than that on each one. We just need a small piece. If we need two, we can do two. I am going to put this one on there, and yeah, I'm probably going to need to, because I like to use a lot of this stuff. I can't help myself. I like to use my tweezers. They come in super handy. Again, another Amazon special. Just peel these off. And this was my original idea, was just placing them over top of the hearts. And since they're colored underneath, they just look like they're really dimensional, but you can see that red color and it stands up so much. It looks really neat on the card. It makes it really stand out. I'm just going to do that one more time with this. I only need 3 pieces, and 3 is what I cut out of this. So 1, 2, 3. That should work. And this one. I need to use my tweezers. I'm telling you, these nails just don't work right for me when I'm crafting. We'll go ahead and put all of these on here so we can just have that part done. There we go. And the last one is right here. I didn't feel like printing out the sentiment, the feeling lucky sentiment. I just kind of wasn't really feeling that was the motif of this card, and I'm not sure I'll put a sentiment on this card. I may save it for a special occasion and then stamp something in the red heart, because I think that's the perfect place to like stamp happy birthday or thinking of you or congratulations, you won big or whatever. There's one, and then there's one more up there. So I did the hearts because this was the Queen of Hearts, but you could really do, I mean, you could do the diamonds too, or you could do the black ones, or you could really do whichever ones you want. It's, I mean, it's all in the digital file, so. I usually put a little bit of glue on this before I set it down, just so I can wiggle it around to make sure I get it on the card straight. Flip it over. There we go. Look at that. Did you guys think that was fun tonight? Wasn't that cool? You guys have got to use these digitals. They are so super, super fun. You love it? I love it too. I like it. I think that it's not too much. It's just the right amount of background. I mean, I contemplated masking it and doing the background, but I think that would have just been too much. I think I have, this is what I was hoping for. I think I have some diamond-ish bling that I think will be the best because it's really, really shiny. I think that's the one I want to use. Or I also have hearts. See, hearts like this. So I could use hearts, but I think I want the bling bling. And I think I want it to be this. This is just like really sparkly. Like I only need 3. We don't need a whole bunch of these. We just need a couple of them. Maybe just like that. Just a few of them. Or maybe I should wait until I put a sentiment, but you know I can't help myself, so I'm not going to be able to wait. I'm going to have to do it right now. Blinging up is one of my favorite things to do, so yeah, I'm just going to do it. There we go. I'm going to put one here And I'm going to put one here. And I don't think we need too many because I think we have a whole bunch of stuff already going on in our cards, so I don't want to put too much. I'll put just a little bit more glue there. I feel like that's just enough. Plus, once I add my sentiment, it'll be perfect. I don't know what sentiment, so I'm skipping that for tonight. I hope you guys will forgive me. I will add a sentiment when the time strikes it right. You love this card? I knew you would, Mom. If I loved it, I knew you would love it. Okay, so let's look at the dimensions. So we have like these hearts that are standing up, and then we also have the whole card is standing up. So it's got some good dimension. Look, when I hold it to the side, those hearts really pop. They look so good. And look at her eyes. They're so beautiful. They'll look even better if you use your multi-liner and like darken the eyes. And I usually show this on all my lives because I think everyone should do it. So let me show you. There's the one on the left. I did this one and not this one. It just kind of stands out just a little bit more than what it did before. Because I used Memento ink and it's just not as black, solid black as I want it to be. So it just doesn't do the trick, you know, like, wow. So pretty. I hope you guys like that. Make sure you do not forget to go download your free digital set so you can build this background as well. It's super easy to do. You do have cards in the stamp set, but they're teeny tiny, so you could mix them together and do like a whole thing of cards. So there, I have so many ideas to do with this. We might be doing queen cards for a while. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do other stuff too, I promise. So I'll be live again on Thursday night with a new project or a new coloring or a new something. So I hope you'll join me again on Thursday night. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe so we can grow the channel. Those who go and watch it on YouTube and watch me live, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much. Oh, this is your favorite. Do you do that? I do that to myself. Every time I make a card, I go, oh, this is my favorite. That one yesterday was my favorite, but today, this is my favorite. And see that bling, it really shines. I'm so glad you guys like it. And that hair, how fun is that? I can't wait to see you guys do it. And this is the one that Dale made, so.
That's on YouTube also.
This one's on YouTube as well, and that's the ephemera. So that's the other one that I had colored with black hair and white. So we did it a little bit different. But yes, it's super fun. So I hope that I will see you guys on Thursday. And then I hope you have a great evening and a great Wednesday. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you guys always coming by. And I'll talk to you on Thursday. Good night.